If you want more revenue, more customers, you need to dial in this one item in your business. And I'm going to share with you exactly what that is and how it will change your organization. So every entrepreneur, you hit a point where the money, the goals, the grind, where honestly, it just is not enough. And for me, it all really clicked about 6 years ago during a completely unexpected phone call. And that moment, really what it did is it revealed my true why. And it changed everything from that point forward around how I lead, how I sell, how I serve our customers. So a friend of mine from Dallas, he had put me in touch with a contact of his. She was looking to get into keynote speaking, and he knew that I had just kind of started that a couple years prior. And he wanted me, asked me if I'd be willing to share basically kind of how I put together my talks and such. And I said, yeah, happy to, always happy to help. So I connected with this gal. I remember the day. I remember driving down a country road, literally in North Dakota where I live. It was afternoon. It was like a ground blizzard almost. And we got to talking. And one of the first things this gal asked me is she said, hey, Patrick, tell me your story, just so I can kind of get to know you better, who you are, what you're about. And I said, absolutely. And I proceeded to tell her, I was a teacher for 11 years. And I left teaching because I, really felt and saw something out there bigger for me, really had no idea what it was, but left teaching, did executive recruiting and then got recruited out of that to manage a gym and then started my own online health wellness coaching business. And then that I started working with a business coach myself, and that really morphed into then holistic life coaching and then one-on-one high performance coaching, and then really led me into working with leadership teams, which is where I was at the time and obviously still am today. And this gal goes, wow, Patrick, she goes, that's a lot of stuff that you've done. And I mean, only in the last, handful of years. And then she asked me one question that really revealed it. And she goes, what's your big why behind all of it? And when she originally asked me that question right out the gate, I thought, oh man, and this was only for about a split second. I thought, holy smokes, like I've been trying to figure that out for 34, 35 years in my life here, it feels like. But what happened is within a fraction of a second, I really knew the true answer. And I told her, I said, I guess when I look back at everything I've done, I've worked with kids in a classroom. I've been a coach on a collegiate and high school football field. And I've helped kids in track and strength and conditioning. And I've helped place people in businesses. And I've helped people figure out, their identity crisis when they hit 50. And now I help, leadership teams really grow to that next stage. And as I was telling her my story and kind of recapping everything, I was like, I guess as I look back at all of it, the theme through all of it, or the big why through all of it, has always been around one thing. And it's really been around helping others grow to that next stage. It didn't matter the environment, it didn't matter the audience, and didn't matter the tools I was using. It's always been around that one concept. And that conversation really made me realize truly why I really do what I do. Beyond growth, beyond business, it's never been about revenue. It's always been about the impact, the freedom, helping others truly grow and live that dream that they've always envisioned for themselves in whatever fashion that really was. And that's really that power of knowing your deep down why, because when you know it, your business, you start getting aligned around it, and it changes how you sell because people start to buy your passion and what lies beneath it, not just your product. It changes how you lead, because your team, they really start to rally around the mission that exists and not just the metrics and the numbers and the goals that exist. It changes how you serve, because your customer experience, it really becomes infused in that purpose, becomes ingrained in that journey that you really take your prospect and your customer through. And ultimately your why, it becomes your brand's heartbeat when all said and done. And that's what really, truly positions you differently in the marketplace. So I'll leave you with this. If you're building something great, don't just ask what or how or what the goals are. Stop and ask, what is the big why behind all of it? And like me, what really helped me, is stop and look back. And I always say when I think about my big why in the moment, I never realized it until I looked back and saw how all the dots connected. Because in the present, it can feel chaotic, it can feel confusing. You can wonder how in the world you got to this point. When you stop and you look back at everything you've done, you will see a theme that exists as all those dots really start to connect. So I encourage you to find your story, behind the drive, because your big why, that deep why, is the most profitable thing that you will ever truly discover. And once you start blending it into your business, it's a game changer. And the thing is, it's already there. You just have to get clear on seeing the themes and the clues that exist from the past. And when you start leading your business with your why, and you start bringing your customers through that journey where that passion really exists and it's threaded through everything, the growth will follow, because your work, it really starts to feel, you start to get that feeling of why it really truly matters. And it's going to resonate with that ideal prospect that is observing you from the outside looking in. So I'm Patrick with the Greenhouse, and I help businesses really grow their purpose, their value, their freedom. And if you are looking to grow your business to the next stage, sign up for our weekly newsletter at the link here.